Hey guys, Ryo here, with another mystery guide. In today's video I'll explain to you when and how to play with Target Slash to help your team connect on targets. Throughout this video I'll be using clips of a Turbo vs RMP matchup, but these tips can be applied to any class that can kite your team. Tiger Slash is on a 30-second cooldown and removes any roots or snares from the target when used. Besides that, it also increases the target's movement speed by 70% for 6 seconds. Tiger Slash is on the same talent row as Sheet Torpedo, which means that you will lose some of your mobility to help your team connect to their targets. Your normal roll ability only makes you roll forward half the distance of Sheet Torpedo, so when playing with Tiger Slash it's important that you're aware of this so you don't get caught in the middle of the map. Mages, hunters, druids and shamans all have great tools for kiting, besides having roots and slows. When playing a melee cleave, for example Turbo, your DPS will have a hard time connecting and sticking onto the target while being slowed and rooted. Against these classes, Tiger Slash can help your team generate a lot more pressure since it allows your team to have more uptime. The downside of playing Tiger Slash is that you sacrifice some of your own mobility to help your DPS connect. This means that you open yourself up to as a potential swap target since you won't be able to get to safety quickly. Make sure your team is aware of this and try and position yourself near a pillar as much as you can, so you can port back to safety or line of sight damage or CC from the enemy team. In this clip I'm playing with Tiger Slash and I position myself at the pillar where I will spend the majority of the game. My positioning makes it really hard for the enemy team to land CC on me, and I keep my DPS offensive meanwhile. On big maps you will have to position yourself on a pillar close to your DPS so you can make them offensive. Tiger Slash can either be used to get rid of slows when this spell is on cooldown, or to get rid of roots, meaning your dispel can be used for any other CC instead. If you use Tiger Slash on one target, you can either decide to dispel the root from your other DPS when doing a setup, or to save your dispel for any incoming CC onto your DPS. In this clip the enemy team just did their setup and we're getting ready to go offensive again. Both my DPS get rooted by the mage, and I use my Tiger Slash on my warrior so he can connect. My warrior stormbolts the mage and he decides to trinket the stormbolt when both my DPS pop their cooldowns. Against frost mages you can either decide to Tiger Slash your DPS on a root or on the slow from the Cone of Cold, since the slow is a 70% slow for 5 seconds and is one of the strongest slows in the game. You should communicate with your DPS on when they're doing a setup to give them Tiger Slash at the right time. In this clip my warrior has the Cone of Cold slow active on him, and I gave him Tiger Slash to connect. My shaman lands a hex on the enemy priest and my warrior stormbolts the mage, and he decides to use his ice block when my DPS connect on him. In this clip my warrior stormbolts the mage and he decides to use his trinket. I paralyze the priest and my warrior gets rooted. I use Tiger Slash on him to keep our pressure up and roll over to the priest for a leg sweep, and we force ice block in this setup. Keeping your DPS mobile with Tiger Slash not only helps them connect, but the constant pressure stops the enemy team from doing their setup as well. The target will be under a lot of pressure and it will be a lot harder for the enemy team to set up CC chains when they're under a lot of pressure and constantly dying throughout the game. In this clip the priest is pushed in on me and I paralyze him before he lands his fear. I use Tiger Slash on my warrior again to get rid of the slow from the Cone of Cold. My warrior gets rooted after, which I dispel from him before the priest fears me. I get feared, but since the mage is under constant pressure they can't follow up with the CC chain on me. That's gonna be it for this mystery guide, guys. Please leave a plus skill if you enjoyed it, and let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time.